So I'm going to tell you two stories about my friend Jordan and about the amazing photography specialist. So let's talk about Jordan. So when I was in Boy Scouts, I remember good old Jordan. He loved to be super, super prepared. And when we would go on backpacking trips, he wanted to have everything that he could possibly use. So he had a chair, he had a radio, he had extra food just in case, he got hungry, several pounds of extra food. He had all sorts of different things. And his backpack, has anyone here ever been backpacking before? Okay, a couple of you, but it's a fun thing. But one of the things you learn when you're a backpacker versus a camper, campers, you can bring anything. Backpackers, if you bring everything, you're gonna die. Because you're gonna have so much. And at first, he was like, I can carry it. That's fine. Well, you can carry it for the first 5 minutes. But then, just like when you carry your big giant backpacks, at first it's okay, but then after the first hour, the second hour, the third hour, that backpack starts to hurt. And so poor Jordan was always last in our backpacking company, and he looked like he was dying. He was like crawling like this. And we're like, Jordan, just throw away your chair, sit on the ground instead. He's like, no, but I need it just in case. And it was a very, very painful experience to watch poor Jordan walk through the mountains of Virginia with a chair and several pounds of extra food that actually he never ever used. So that's Jordan. The photographer specialist. I just heard a story recently about someone who had just dived into photography. Has anyone ever loved to take pictures or maybe learn a little bit about photography? Okay. So this person went and he bought every single magazine he could find about how to take pictures. He bought these amazing cameras that cost who knows how much to do all sorts of really cool things. And for hours and hours he would study, he would learn, he would do all these things. He was so knowledgeable that the something Photography Association of America asked him to speak at their big giant celebration, fundraising event, because he was so knowledgeable about photography. But it was interesting because his wife said, when are you going to actually take a picture? So this guy had studied, he'd learned so much that he could speak in front of professionals. But he never actually took a picture. And what's interesting is ultimately he learned so much, but he never actually used it. And he fell into what's called analysis paralysis, in which it was like he was not ready to take a picture when his wife would say, well, just start taking pictures. And people started asking him to do their weddings and to do stuff like that because he apparently was so advanced and so knowledgeable, but he didn't ever take a picture. And he was like, well, I know about photography, but I've never actually done it. And so he actually never took a picture. In time, he just sort of realized that that wasn't what he was supposed to do. And he had all that knowledge, but he never actually used it. So let's think about Jordan, and think about this photography specialist that never actually took a picture. So today, we hear Jesus summoning these 12. He sends them forth. But notice how he says, don't carry all this stuff with you. I mean, wouldn't that be funny if sometimes the way that we pack for vacation, if that was like the 12 apostles, so they're coming into a village and they're like carrying stuff like this. And then they get there and they're like, okay, hold on 1 second, I got to go back and get the rest of the stuff. And they keep making several trips back, and the people in the village are kind of like, okay, like, this is like your 5th trip here, and you're bringing all this stuff? Why do you have all this stuff? Jesus is saying, take nothing for the journey except what is absolutely necessary. He says, don't even bring food, sack, money in your belts. It says, well, you can wear sandals, but don't bring an extra change of clothes. Why is he saying this? He's saying, get focused on your mission. A backpacker, their mission is to go through the mountains and get to their camp spot, energized so that they can enjoy their time in the camp spot, but also to not get weighed down by clutter. When we are following Christ, when we are a disciple of the Lord, we need to look and say, what's the clutter in my life? What are the things that I'm carrying that I'm not able to focus on Jesus? Have you ever found, like, a lot of times Jesus, we kind of fit him in when we have time. But have you ever had that experience where you never have time? You're like, Jesus, I'll get to you tomorrow. And tomorrow, I got to do this and this and this and this. But imagine you did that in your sports teams. Imagine or in your school. Imagine you have a project that's due, and you're like, teacher, I don't have time for it right now. I got to get all this other stuff done. Or coach, I don't have time to do my running for conditioning. I'll get to it tomorrow. And then finally, the game comes, and you're like, I haven't even run. And then you fall flat on your face. So being a disciple, it means to be disciplined and focused. If you think about great athletes, people that are great at certain things, they have this focus. Think about the Olympic athletes. They train and they train and they train. They order everything around them for that goal of winning the gold. That's what St. Paul says when he says, I'm running the race to the finish line. I'm not looking behind, but I'm looking in front. I'm not carrying all this stuff, but I'm running. And what Jesus is saying to these 12 is, the most important thing that you can do in life is to preach that gospel. Preach it with words and preach it with your lives. And that's the second part here too about this photography specialist. Sometimes we can be not only just clutter ourselves with stuff, but we can be someone who's kind of always learning, but never actually doing. And what the Lord is saying is, don't wait until you're a grown-up. Because we might say, well, tomorrow I'll start being kind to this person. Or tomorrow I'm going to pick up my Bible and I'm going to start reading. But I'm not ready yet. I still have to learn more. Have you ever kind of had that, maybe sometimes struggle with perfectionism? I can't turn this in right now because it's not perfect. And then you never turn it in. Or you're trying to maybe do a drawing or a painting or something like that, and it's like, well, I'm not ready to finish it. And then 50 years go by, and you never actually turn it in. Or again, you might say to your coach, I'm not ready to get in the game yet. I got to do more stretches. I got to do jumping jacks. And then the game goes by. Do you see how the Lord is saying to us, don't be cluttered, be focused, but like the Nike commercial, just do it. Let's not wait until tomorrow to start living for God, to start living out prayer in our life, living out the works of mercy. And let's not wait until mom and dad say, okay, now it's time to pray. Especially those of you who are getting ready for confirmation, this is the time now to say, I'm not going to wait till tomorrow. Today, I'm going to pick up my Bible. And I'm going to start talking to God through it. And you might say, well, I'm not ready yet. I don't really know how to do that. But if we never start, we'll never actually experience it. So declutter, but just do it.